Ladies and gentlemen, imagine a gardener standing in a wild and untamed field. He does not merely wish for flowers to bloom, he bends his back, clears the thorns, and plants with care. So it is with our souls and our habits. We may long for goodness, strength, or discipline, but longing alone will not transform the soil. We must set our hands to the work. There is a curious folly in our nature, one that whispers that change should come easily, that virtue should spring up as effortlessly as weeds. But the truth is sterner. The habits that shape our lives are not born of fleeting desires, they are forged by repeated acts, by small, deliberate choices made each day. Perhaps you say, I am not the sort of person who rises early, who keeps promises to myself, who endures discomfort for the sake of growth. That may be true now, but who you are is not who you must remain. The will is like a muscle, it grows stronger through exercise, but it will never grow if left idle. Do not wait for inspiration, for some golden moment when discipline feels delightful. It rarely does. Begin with the smallest of steps, a step so small it seems laughable, yet it is a beginning. Say to yourself, I will rise, I will try, even when you feel no inclination to do so. Especially then, for it is in those moments that the real battle is fought. You must train yourself to see that every action, no matter how insignificant it seems, is a stone in the foundation of your character. Each time you resist laziness, each time you choose to act rather than excuse yourself, you are not merely completing a task, you are shaping the person you are becoming. And remember this, habits are not masters but servants. They can be cruel masters if left unchecked, binding us to unworthy pursuits. Yet when tamed and directed, they become loyal allies, guiding us toward what is good and true without constant effort on our part. There is a certain deception in the way we often think about change, as though virtue or discipline might alight upon us like a bird on a branch, graceful, effortless, and unbidden. But real growth is not a thing of ease, it is a thing of toil. The man who wishes for a garden must prepare the soil, plant the seeds, and tend to the shoots, for beauty and order do not arise from neglect. So it is with our habits. The good ones do not form themselves, and the bad ones will not uproot themselves. We cannot wait for the winds of inspiration or convenience to blow in our favor. If we do, we shall find ourselves at the mercy of our inclinations, tossed to and fro like a ship without a rudder. No, we must put our hands to the wheel and steer, even when the course ahead seems arduous. The world is full of men and women who wish to be better, but are unwilling to work for it. They think to themselves, if only I felt more inclined, I would rise early, I would read more, I would be more patient. Yet inclination is a fleeting thing, as unreliable as the weather. It is the decision to act, not the desire to act, that makes all the difference. This deliberate effort is not a punishment but a privilege, for in the act of striving we discover the strength of our will and the resilience of our spirit. The very resistance we face becomes the proving ground for our character. And so we must not merely hope for good habits to take root, we must labor for them. For it is through effort, not ease, that we bring forth the best within ourselves. Imagine a sculptor standing before a block of marble. Each strike of the chisel seems small, almost inconsequential, yet with patience and persistence the stone begins to yield. Slowly the image within emerges, shaped by countless minor strokes. So too are our lives shaped not by grand, singular moments but by the accumulation of daily choices. Habits are not forged in an instant. They are the product of repetition, of doing the same small thing again and again until it becomes part of us. Consider the paths worn into the ground by countless footsteps. Each step, taken alone, seems trivial, yet over time they carve a trail. Such is the power of repeated action, it etches patterns into the very fabric of our being. We often wish for transformation to be swift and dramatic, as though a single decision could remake us entirely. But this is not the way of things. The man who seeks to be diligent must begin by completing small tasks faithfully. The woman who desires kindness must practice it in the smallest interactions. These modest acts, repeated day by day, weave themselves into the texture of our character. And let us not grow weary of these repetitions, for there is a quiet glory in the mundane. Each small act of discipline or virtue, no matter how unnoticed, adds to the whole. Over time, these seemingly insignificant efforts accumulate into something profound, a life marked by strength, purpose, and integrity. It is in the repetition of the good that we become good, and in the constancy of our efforts that we find true transformation. There is a peculiar pride in human nature that often recoils at small beginnings. We wish to start as heroes, to leap at once into greatness, bypassing the humble steps that pave the way. Yet this is folly, for all great things begin small. The towering oak was once a seed, the mighty river a mere trickle, and so too must our habits start as modest efforts. We may dream of grand achievements, of mastering a discipline, embodying virtue, or transforming our lives, but these dreams are built brick by brick. To begin small is not to aim low, it is to lay the first stone of something enduring. A single step forward, no matter how small, is infinitely better than standing still, lost in the mire of indecision. Consider the man who wishes to learn patience. He need not imagine himself enduring great trials with grace. He need only practice waiting a moment longer when tempted to snap or grumble. The woman who desires strength of body need not begin with great feats. She can start with a brief walk or a few minutes of effort. These small acts, repeated, are the seeds of transformation. Do not despise the humble start, for it is here that you learn the discipline of persistence. In the small there is little glory to distract you, no applause to sustain you. Yet it is precisely this quiet beginning that strengthens your resolve, teaching you to act not for the sake of recognition, but for the sake of growth itself. Greatness is not achieved in a single leap, it is the result of countless small, faithful steps. Begin where you are with what you have, and take the smallest step forward. In doing so, you honor the process of growth and open the door to greater things. The will is a curious thing, a gift given to us with boundless potential, yet so often left untended, like a garden overrun with weeds. It does not strengthen by idleness or flourish by indulgence. Rather, it is forged in the furnace of effort, refined by the heat of resistance. Like a muscle, the will grows only through use, through the repeated act of choosing what is right over what is easy. There are moments when the task before us feels insurmountable, when the very thought of beginning seems a burden. It is then, above all, that the will must rise to the challenge. To act in defiance of inclination is not merely an act of discipline, it is a declaration of freedom. For in those moments you assert that you are not a slave to your moods, your fears, or your comfort. You are the master of your choices. The strengthening of the will does not come in grand gestures, but in small, persistent acts of defiance against apathy and laziness. Each time you rise when you would rather remain seated, each time you act when you would rather delay, you are training the will to endure, to persevere. These small victories, though they may seem insignificant, are the foundation of great strength. Do not wait for the day when effort feels easy or discipline comes naturally. That day will never come, for the will is not built in the absence of struggle, but in the midst of it. The very resistance you face is the weight that strengthens you. Embrace it, not as an enemy but as an ally, a teacher that shows you the depths of your own resolve. In every choice to press forward despite weariness, to act despite reluctance, you are not merely completing a task, you are shaping your character. And as the will grows strong, you will find that the tasks which once seemed impossible become not only manageable but even joyful, for they are no longer the masters of your life. You are. Every action we take is like a brushstroke on the canvas of our character. At first, the strokes may seem scattered, isolated, and without form, but over time patterns emerge, shaping the image of who we are becoming. The choices we make, even the smallest ones, do not vanish into obscurity, they leave their mark upon us, deepening the lines of virtue or vice, discipline or indulgence. We often deceive ourselves into believing that our small actions carry little consequence. What harm, we think, in one more moment of delay, one more indulgence of idleness, but it is precisely in these small decisions that the battle is won or lost. For the man who habitually turns from discomfort will find that his strength dwindles, while the one who endures in the little things grows steady and sure. Character is not built in a single moment of triumph or failure. It is the sum of countless moments, each one an opportunity to choose who we wish to be. The habit of rising early, of speaking kindly, or of working diligently may seem at first a trifling thing. But with each repetition, it roots itself deeper, until it becomes as natural as breathing. We cannot become what we wish to be by mere desire, we must become it by practice. Just as an artist shapes the clay not by dreaming of a statue, but by working it with their hands, so must we shape our character through daily effort. Each small act of discipline, though it may seem insignificant, is a step closer to the person we are meant to be. Do not dismiss the power of a single choice. Each one tilts the scales, even if ever so slightly, toward the life you are building. And as these choices accumulate, they form a weight, a momentum that carries you forward. In time, what was once an effort becomes an instinct, and the person you long to be is no longer a distant dream but a living reality. Habits, like tools, are neither inherently good nor evil, they simply serve the master who wields them. They are loyal servants, diligent and unyielding, capable of accomplishing great good when directed wisely. Yet, left to their own devices or surrendered to poor choices, they can become tyrants, binding us to a life we neither desire nor admire. Imagine a river, powerful and unrelenting, carving its course through the landscape. If guided by thoughtful hands, it can be channeled to bring life to barren fields. But without guidance, it may flood and destroy, leaving ruin in its wake. So it is with habits. When we cultivate them intentionally, they become channels for virtue, effortlessly carrying us toward the good. But if we allow them to form haphazardly, they can lead us into patterns of selfishness, laziness, or despair. The curious thing about habits is that they require little of us once established. The work lies in their creation. A good habit, once formed, runs its course almost without thought, sparing us the need to wrestle daily with indecision. But this same ease is what makes bad habits so dangerous. They too require little effort, and once entrenched, they persist with equal strength. Therefore, it is not enough to merely recognize the power of habits. We must take hold of them with firm resolve, choosing carefully which ones we allow to shape us. Do not let your habits rule you without question. Examine them, challenge them, and when necessary, uproot the harmful ones with the same diligence you would use to weed a garden. And remember this: habits, though powerful, are not immutable. Even the most stubborn among them can be reshaped, redirected, and made to serve a nobler purpose. With deliberate effort, the tyrant can be transformed into a servant, and the patterns that once enslaved us can become the very structures that set us free. There is a peculiar temptation to wait, as though some grand wave of inspiration must sweep over us before we act. We tell ourselves that the right moment has not yet come, that our hearts must first be stirred, our spirits first ignited, before we can begin the work. But this is a dangerous delusion, for it leaves us at the mercy of fleeting feelings, which are as unreliable as the wind. The truth is far simpler, and far sterner action must precede inspiration, not the other way around. Do not wait to feel ready, for readiness is a mirage that retreats the closer you draw to it. Begin now with whatever strength you have, however small it may seem. The act of beginning, of taking even the smallest step, has a curious way of awakening the resolve that seemed absent before. It is not the absence of desire that holds us back, but the mistaken belief that desire is necessary. The craftsman does not always delight in the work of his hands, nor does the soldier always feel the thrill of duty. Yet both press on, not because they are driven by emotion, but because they are committed to the task. And it is in the doing that they often rediscover the joy that eluded them. Discipline, after all, is not about waiting for the heart to align with the will. It is about commanding the will to act, regardless of the heart's hesitations. And as the will obeys, the heart often follows. The very act of doing what must be done, even in the absence of inclination, begins to shape our feelings, teaching us that effort and satisfaction are intertwined. Do not ask yourself whether you feel like beginning. Ask only whether the task is worth doing, and then begin. In time, you will find that inspiration, that fleeting and elusive thing, becomes less necessary, for the habit of action will carry you forward. And in that forward motion, you will discover strength you did not know you had. Struggle is often seen as a foe, something to be avoided or overcome as quickly as possible. Yet, in truth, it is one of the greatest teachers we shall ever encounter. It is through struggle that we discover what we are made of, for ease reveals little about a person, while effort unveils the depths of their character. The path to good habits is not a smooth one, nor should it be. It is the very resistance we face that strengthens us. Consider the blacksmith at his forge. The iron is shaped not by gentle touches, but by the relentless hammering against the anvil. The heat and the blows are what give it form and purpose. So it is with us. The difficulties we encounter when striving to develop a new habit are not obstacles meant to defeat us, they are tools meant to refine us. There is no shame in finding the way hard. Indeed, the very hardness of it is what makes the effort worthwhile. A habit formed without struggle is easily lost, for it has no roots. But the habit that is born of effort, that is wrestled into being through persistence, becomes a part of us, sturdy and unshakable. We must therefore embrace the struggle as part of the process. Each moment of discomfort, each temptation to abandon the task, is an opportunity to grow stronger. It is in these moments that we learn resilience, that we train our will to endure and persevere. Do not despise the struggle, for it is the fire that tempers the steel of your resolve. And when you look back, you will see that it was not the ease of the journey that made it worthwhile, but the very effort it demanded. The struggle does not diminish the value of the habit you are building, it magnifies it. For anything worth having is worth the labor required to attain it. And in that labor you will find not only the habit you sought to build, but a strength and steadfastness that will serve you in all things. There is a great battle that rages within every human heart, a conflict between what is comfortable and what is right, between the fleeting ease of indulgence and the enduring strength of discipline. The temptation to choose comfort is ever present, a soothing voice that promises rest and relief. But this comfort is often a thief, robbing us of the growth and fulfillment that come only through effort. The irony of comfort is that it never truly satisfies. It lulls us into a false sense of contentment, leaving us weaker, more restless, and less capable of facing the challenges ahead. Discipline, though it may appear as the sterner path, is the one that leads to true peace. For it is only by enduring discomfort that we grow, and only by growth that we find lasting satisfaction. Consider the athlete in training. The early mornings, the aching muscles, the long hours of practice, all of it is uncomfortable, even painful at times. Yet it is through these trials that strength is built and victories are won. The prize is not given to the one who avoided effort, but to the one who embraced it. So too in life, the habits we most desire to form require us to step beyond our comfort zones, to endure the short-term pain for the sake of long-term reward. The choice is yours in every moment to take the easier path that leads nowhere or the harder path that leads to growth. Do not be deceived into thinking that the path of discipline is a punishment. It is, in truth, a gift, a means by which you forge a life of meaning and purpose. As you press forward, you will find that the discomfort you once dreaded becomes bearable, even welcome. For each small victory over ease and apathy brings a deeper satisfaction, a sense of progress that no fleeting comfort can provide. And in time, the discipline that once felt so hard will become second nature, a source of strength that sustains you through all the trials of life. 2/2. There is a quiet hope that whispers to us when we stand on the edge of change, a reminder that transformation is always within reach. No matter how deep the ruts of our bad habits may seem, no matter how far we feel from the life we wish to live, the possibility of renewal is never beyond us. The human spirit, though frail, is astonishingly resilient, capable of rising again and again from the ashes of its failures. It is easy to feel overwhelmed by the weight of past mistakes or the enormity of the task ahead. We look at the habits that bind us, the weaknesses that seem insurmountable, and we despair. But despair is the great liar, for it tells us that change is impossible when, in truth, it is as simple and as difficult as beginning again. The smallest step forward, however halting, is a triumph over despair. Each effort, no matter how imperfect, plants a seed of possibility. Habits are not formed overnight, and neither are they undone in a moment. They are built and unbuilt in the same way through steady, patient persistence. Do not measure your progress by leaps and bounds, measure it by the quiet determination to take the next step, and then the next. Transformation does not require perfection. It requires commitment, and commitment does not mean never failing. It means rising each time you fall, learning from the stumble, and continuing on the path. The journey may be slow, but slowness is no failure. What matters is that you are moving forward, however faintly, toward the person you were meant to be. And as you continue, something remarkable happens. The habits you once struggled to build become a part of you. The effort that once felt so great begins to feel natural, even joyful. The life you once dreamed of living is no longer a distant hope, it is your reality. For transformation, though hard won, is a gift that rewards those who persevere. It is not beyond you. It never was. In the end, it is not the grand gestures or dramatic moments of change that shape us, but the small, quiet decisions we make every day. We are forged not in a single moment of triumph, but in the steady, relentless effort to improve, to build, to grow. It is in the forging of habits, day by day, that we carve the path to the life we seek. The struggle, the discomfort, the effort, these are not signs of failure, but of progress. They are the very marks of transformation. Each time we choose the harder path, the path of discipline, we choose to become the people we were meant to be. We choose strength over ease, character over comfort, and ultimately a life of purpose over one of idle passing. The road is long, and at times it will feel discouraging. But if you press on, if you commit yourself to the small, seemingly insignificant acts of discipline, you will discover that the person you were striving to become was within you all along. The change you seek, the life you desire, will come not all at once, but little by little with each choice you make. So do not grow weary in the struggle. Do not fear the difficulty. For it is in the effort, the persistence, the quiet daily work that you will find the life you seek. And in the end, you will discover that the journey itself was the very reward you longed for.